Welcome, Hudson Valley, to this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. This week's guest is Filomena Fanelli, CEO and founder of Impact PR and Communications, which is an award-winning national PR and strategic communications agency with a relentless commitment to creative campaigns that connect people and purpose. We talk about the incredible story that led to the creation of Impact PR, how they service Hudson Valley businesses, and Filomena's recent Women's Innovator Award. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Filomena and myself here on In Touch. Thank you for all the kind words shared in regard to In Touch officially being awarded the 2023 New York State Broadcasters Association Award for Outstanding Public Affairs Program or Series as part of the 57th Annual Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. This recognition would not be possible without the incredible team here at Townsquare, all of our phenomenal guests that we learn and grow with every single week, and of course you, the listener. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just found us, thank you for taking part in the conversation and staying in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. We here at In Touch are all about, being in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. What better way to stay in touch with what's going on than by downloading the Townsquare Media mobile app for this radio station? Not only can you listen to this station live at any time using the app, but you can also listen to In Touch on demand. Besides In Touch, you can read daily articles about news, events, entertainment, and more that's going on in your community. And when the weather gets bad, you can use the app to check on weather reports and see which roads, schools, and organizations are closed. Your Townsquare Media app is the best place for concert tickets and events as well. We're constantly giving away tickets to the hottest shows in the area. Again, you'll have access to all of this if you just download the Townsquare Media mobile app for this radio station. In Touch is nothing without the support of the hundreds of listeners that we get on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for listening and taking part in the conversation. If you listen to In Touch through a podcast service such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a positive review. With more 5-star reviews on these platforms, the algorithms will work hard to promote our show and bring In Touch to new people. That and also sharing In Touch with your friends and family is so important. Just sharing our links and listening live each Sunday goes such a long way. Thank you for all you do to stay in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. Hello, Hudson Valley. You're listening to another episode of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program, and this is a very special episode for me. You guys have no idea, but I have been working with this person for nearly a year now. You don't get all the credit. You don't always get to see everybody in the background. Hence why I was like, so when are we finally getting you on now? I have a terrific guest with us today. We have founder and CEO of Impact PR and Communications, Filomena Fanelli. Now, Impact PR and Communications was launched roughly 10 years ago, 2014, with a singular goal: craft meaningful, results-driven public relation campaigns that are tailored to meet the goals of the clients. They got an award-winning team of top-notch professionals that will stop at nothing to deliver purposeful media placements, tailored messages, and consistently thoughtful, crafted content that really helps out the community. And I am so excited to talk with her today because she's helped book probably anywhere between a quarter to a third of the guests that you have heard. So whether it was her or whether it was her team, Impact PR has been a huge part of In Touch. So Filomena, thank you for being here behind the microphone now. Not just behind the scenes, but we got you on the mic. How are you?
Great. It feels odd to be out in front for a change. I kind of like the other way where I'm behind the scenes and my team are behind the scenes getting our clients in the news. But fun to sit down with you. Obviously, we're a huge fan of your show.
Well, it's greatly appreciated. We were just looking at this right before we got on the mic. The very first episode that we had was with Cape, and that goes back to November of last year. So that's kind of crazy. And by that point, the podcast part of In Touch wasn't even up yet. That wasn't even until December. So we were very day one here. So again, thank you for everything. But to give everybody else an idea, I know all the work that you do. You're amazing. But give all of our listeners just a little bit of an overview of what Impact PR and Communications is all about.
Yeah, so Impact PR, like you said, we've been around just about 10 years, and our whole job is to get people in the news or sometimes keep them out of it, but more importantly, to use the tool of communications as a way to change hearts, minds, actions, as a way to inform and educate and inspire people. And there are so many great stories all around us, but not all of them get told, unfortunately. Or maybe they're not told in the right way to connect with the audiences. So our job is to make sure we're mining for those good stories, the things that people need to know or should know, and that we're helping those come to light.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad that you just bring up the concept of the stories. That's something we've always related on since day one. Just the idea of the story. The story can be so impactful. It can inspire so many things. And you never know what a simple conversation could bring, honestly. And I think that's one of the main reasons why Impact PR really shines with everything that's going on in the community. You got your hands in so many different buckets. And it's amazing how far this reaches and how far you've been able to help other businesses and organizations grow around here. I think it's really impressive. And just to give an idea, could you name a few of like the clients that you have that you might be currently working with?
Sure. We're working with everyone from Astor Services. You've probably heard of them.
Yep.
Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival.
Big fans.
Feldman, Kleidman, Collins and Sape. Tompkins Community Bank, Millbrook Winery, Mid-Hudson Construction Management, the Cartwright, which is New York's largest indoor water park and all-around entertainment venue. Great place to bring people. Also, great conference and event space as well. People have events there, get married there, all sorts of things. Zimmer Brothers Jewelers. We've had the privilege of working with a diverse group of clients, but the one thing that they have in common is that they have something they need to get out to others in some way, some sort of message or information. And it's such a pleasure getting to sit down with people and really listen, find out what's going on in their businesses. Sometimes people say, I don't really have anything to talk about. There's nothing exciting going on here. I say, give me 10 minutes. I will find the exciting things going on.
Absolutely. And I think you're a really good one to be able to draw all that stuff out. And same with everybody on your team. Everybody on your team is very like-minded in that way. And I think that's great. But as you're saying about telling these stories, we've had the chance to sit down and talk to each other. And I asked you like how you got started and everything. I think it's a really inspirational story, and especially really good for anybody out there in the Hudson Valley right now that's considering breaking off from the norm and starting something new in their own terms. So could you tell us a little bit how you got started in finding and creating Impact PR?
So that's a two-part answer. Finding PR, I would say PR sort of found me. I was in New York City about 25 years ago looking for a new job opportunity, knowing that all the things I had done I enjoyed, but none of them felt like that right fit. And I went to a recruiter at the time and explained what my interests were, that I love to follow the news cycle, kind of see what was trending. I enjoy writing. I love reading. I like connecting people with one another. And he was actually the person who directed me to my first job in PR and told me, like, I think I found the right career for you, Filomena. And here I am all these years later. But the company that you see before you today, Impact PR and Communications, was founded because I didn't see a lot of people doing the kind of things that I did all those years in the city, in the Hudson Valley, but yet they had the same needs.
Yeah.
And our clients extend beyond the Hudson Valley, but there are so many companies right in our backyard, real estate development firms, construction companies, community banks, nonprofits, entertainment and visitation venues that needed these exact services. And so I saw what was kind of missing and thought, why don't I take a stab at filling that need? And so if anybody out here is listening today to this chat, if you see something that's missing and you can think of an idea, I urge you to go for it. It's been a wonderful ride, and I have 10 amazing colleagues that I get to work with every day, and I'm so grateful you mentioned them, Connor.
Oh, yeah.
They are incredible, top-notch team players. Our clients are so lucky to have them, and so am I.
No, honestly, you do have a really great team, and I'm glad that you mentioned also feeling a need here in the Hudson Valley. You know, a lot of people say location, location, location. It's interesting. You find a market, you find what the needs are of it, and you try to fill it, and you're able to take all of your expertise and really work it into this area, which is great. So when you started, though, I don't think you had all full 10 people that you have with you now. What did that look like in the beginning?
It looked like me, my kitchen counter, and a laptop. And then in short order, I hired a subcontractor and another subcontractor, and then I created employee positions. It grew very rapidly. I figured I'll just start it and see kind of how this thing goes. Maybe I'll have a little side hustle. The next thing you know, it turned into a full-on operation and grew very quickly.
So you were doing this on the side of another job, and then it took over from that said job?
Yeah, I was freelancing. I was home freelancing, thinking that I had to return to the city 5 days a week in order to do the work I loved. And I proved myself wrong on that front. And this was before the pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. And that's definitely a big thing to say. And you have two wonderful kids of your own, which actually we found out a while ago. I was a camp counselor for them years ago. So we were connected well before we even realized it, which I think is funny. But yeah, that's kind of tough where you're in that situation 10 years ago where it's like, what am I doing? I got this family here. We have this life here. If everything I knew was down in the city, I'm doing the freelancing, but now this was able to take over. Was that a relief? Was that kind of stressful? What was that feeling like?
I think the feeling initially was uncertainty. And on the other side of uncertainty is always opportunity.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that. Absolutely. I feel like so many people get bogged down with uncertainty and they get so scared to do anything about it. I think that pit in your stomach feelings like, oh God, should I do this? That's typically the sign saying you should do this.
I would agree.
Absolutely. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We are speaking with Filomena Fanelli, founder and CEO of Impact PR and Communications, and we're talking about how Impact PR and Communications got started and just the wonderful beginnings of a Hudson Valley business owner. And one thing that I really want to highlight now, after almost 10 years, it was 2014, so actually next year will be the 10 years. Congrats ahead of time.
Thank you.
That'll be great. You are being recognized, or you have been recognized, I should say. October 26th, you were recognized with Women's Innovator Award. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, it was a really exciting event. You don't go into business looking for accolades, but it was so much fun to be recognized with other women who went down an entrepreneurial path or created a new category, people who started something that wasn't there before. So to be on stage with those people and in that circle and recognized by our community was a lot of fun.
And which organization was this through that was giving away the awards?
That's the Westchester and Fairfield County Business Journals, which is the business journal serving our region right now.
That is huge. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes to show everything that we were talking about before, how, you're building it up, you're creating something that is needed in the market, whether people know it or not. It's like, nope, let's fill this in. And you were able to fill that role, and here we are, and you're getting these awards, these accolades, and it just goes to show the hard work that you and your team have put into everything.
Yeah, I did not win that alone. I won it with the backing of these other incredible and smart women. So a lot of credit where the credit is due.
That's amazing. So one thing that you said earlier, when you were building all this was pre-pandemic, and I'm glad that you said pre-pandemic because I want to talk a little bit post-pandemic now. During the pandemic, it was a crazy time. Everything was, anything in person was shut down. So we have this online field that we are trying to get into. And of course, we've all been dabbling in it, but there was a huge, huge calling for it. And I feel since here we are in 2023, that need and desire is still through the roof. And that's the way so much stuff is operating. And I think there's a lot of business owners, either new or old, that don't realize some of the things that they need, especially about getting the word out. So can you tell us, here we are in a post-pandemic world, what are some of the things that you look into when you are serving your various clients?
Yeah, so when we're working with clients, we're looking to make sure the key news is being shared about their business. Anything that's new, novel, interesting, unique, timely, tying to trending news is being shared across all of the mediums. And I think sometimes people, Connor, are short-sighted.
Yeah.
They think, there's just the newspaper. Well, there's newspapers still, but there's also smaller community papers, magazines, online news outlets, podcasts. Radio is very much alive and well.
Oh, yeah.
Television. So, and then there's all the other ways we communicate through social media, through newsletters, through blogs. So I urge people to think more widely about their messages and how they're sharing them and with whom. Are they hitting those messages in all the ways possible to reach all the correct people?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you mentioned the fact like being short-sighted. A lot of people will walk around with rose-colored glasses. They don't think about what they don't know. And it's just being able to get into those conversations and be like, hey, have you ever thought of this? And be like, no, that's an option. And I think that's a big thing. What does that look like digitally speaking now? As you said, there are so many different options, but would you say the digital medium has increased in the last couple of years since the pandemic? Or are we kind of getting back into a phase where people want more of a physical thing? What are you seeing these days?
It's very much a combined approach. I think you shouldn't neglect one for the other, but I think as a result of the pandemic, we've seen a lot more ways to communicate come about. Things like the Nextdoor app have evolved. Shows like yours have taken off. I think actually In Touch is, might I add, the perfect example for what I'm talking about.
Oh, thank you.
No, when you first started off, you weren't the award-winning show you are right now. And maybe somebody might have thought, well, who's going to listen to that anyway, right? But that is a missed opportunity. You want to get in early and often with new news outlets. You want to form relationships. And the very heart of good public relations is the relationship. Connecting with people, listening to what they need or they want to know and providing it. And for any client we work with, I urge them to come from that perspective. How can I be of service? How can I be of help? How can I fill a need that exists and be useful? And if you do that versus worrying about talking about yourself and promoting yourself, the rest of it will naturally happen. The success will come. Like In Touch didn't become wonderful talking about how great In Touch is. In Touch became wonderful by helping to share news that was going on in the community, great organizations doing important work, thanking them for being guests, posting about them, and then others learned about you and came to you. And that's what good PR does.
That is so kind. Thank you so much for that. But it's kind of like Field of Dreams, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And just being able to offer that's something you and I both do that differently each day, but we continuously do that, making sure that kind of information gets out there in order to build. And I think, both me and my 1 year span, you and your 10-year span, just to see where everything can build and grow. And I think that's so important to anybody that's building or creating anything right now. Somebody who is looking to start a business or looking to start a side hustle or looking to start something they've always wanted to do but never felt like it was possible before. In a general sense, like what would you say to those people?
I would say whatever you don't have yet, borrow it from someone else who has it. So when I first started my business, I knew a lot about public relations. I had been doing that for a very, very long time and in the city. But what I didn't know was how to run a company.
Yeah.
So I sought out help from other people who had managed that pit in the stomach feel you were talking about.
Yeah.
They'd worked through that. They'd navigated it. They came out on the other side. And I asked them how they were doing it. What did they wish they knew when they first started out that they know now? Who do they recommend for an accountant, an attorney?
Yes.
Like I asked a lot of questions. And through that, I wound up developing a friendship network of people who helped me. And I've been able to pay it forward so many times over. So now if anybody wants to borrow some bravado and some chops, come and see me. Like I have plenty. But in the beginning, I didn't. And I needed to find that from others until I could have it for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things when it comes to capital. The social capital is so big. We think of, money going into everything, but it's like who how you can use those relationships. And you certainly have a beautiful big web here in the Hudson Valley. Well, we were just talking about before a few other guests that will be coming in. It's like, oh, I know them. And I just think that just goes to show you of using that social capital to the most that you can. And you built up quite the reputation anyway, whether you knew them before PR or whether you've known them since. I think it just goes to show you how important it is to ask the questions because you'll never know unless you ask, right? In any situation.
And you bring up a great point, which is that our reputation does follow us around.
Yes.
And the way that whether it's an individual or a company, the way that you conduct yourself matters. And then also letting people know what you're up to, how you can help them. Like if you do those things consistently and persistently over time, you're going to build up brand equity. People are going to know what you stand for.
Yep.
They're going to know who you are. They're going to know how you do something differently than the person to your left or right.
The consistency factor plays into it so much, because it's one thing if you do an amazing job once and then you disappear. It's kind of hard to be able to simply work off that, to be consistently putting out good product, good services, and just simply being in a community's mind's eye is so important. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We're speaking with the award-winning Filomena Fanelli, as we were talking about. She was just recently honored with a Women's Innovators Award, and I think that's amazing. And it just goes to show you all the wonderful work that Impact PR does on a daily basis. So we've talked so much about what you guys do, but now if anybody who's listening needs your services, what's the best way to reach out?
Well, a few different ways, Connor. They can head to prwithimpact.com. That's PRWITH impact, IMPACT.com. They can give us a ring at 845-462-4979. Again, that's 462-4979. Or they can send me an email directly. I love hearing from people and chatting with them. My email is Filomena with an F, Filomena at prwithimpact.com. Reach out. Connect with us on social media. We're on all of the social media vehicles that there are. Like, head over there, connect with us, send us a message.
Absolutely. And of course, all the links and information will be in the description of this episode. So if you forgot any of those or you need to check back, we will have that all set for you. And besides, also, we've been linked on social media for a while. So you can just look at In Touch's social media and you'll be able to find Impact and Filomena's team right there. So that'll be terrific. Filomena, again, thank you so much for being here on In Touch. Thank you for all the help that you have brought to In Touch. Greatly appreciate it. Is there any last little nugget you might have for our In Touch listening audience, whether it's about PR, whether it's about starting a business, whatever it might be? Any last nugget?
I always like to remind people, Connor, that if you don't tell your story, someone else will. That someone else might be your competitor.
Yeah.
So you need to be the one who shares the important things that people need to know about you.
That's huge. Oh my God, that's a perfect little sound clip right there. I got to put that one out there. Filomena, again, thank you so much for being here on In Touch, and I'm excited for all the work that we got to come. Appreciate you.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
Of course. This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Filomena Fanelli. For more information on Impact PR and Communications, visit prwithimpact.com. You can reach Filomena directly at 845-462-4979. That or email her at filomena@prwithimpact.com. Of course, all links and information can be found in the description of this episode. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just joined us, thank you. You can find In Touch episodes new and old on your favorite streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. That and listen on demand with your Townsquare radio station mobile app. Of course, you can still find all articles and audio under the In Touch tab on this radio station's app and website. And don't forget, we're also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at InTouch_HV. If you like what we do here on In Touch and want to be on the show, let us know. Whether you have a topic you want discussed or you want to be a guest, the best way to contact us is through our office number, 845-471-1500, or email direct to connor.walsh@townsquaremedia.com. I've been your host, Connor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time